Were you guys considering allopathic med schools too, or what was the kind of deciding factor that made you choose osteopathic medicine?
We can go down the line.
I applied to MD and DO schools, but I primarily want to go to DO school. My dad was just like, apply to both, see what happens. But I really want to go to an osteopathic school. My cousins go to Western, which is a DO school in Southern California, and I've heard a lot about DOs, and I just love the approach. I'm a huge proponent of preventative medicine and love public health, love primary care, and I felt like this is the best thing for me to do. So, and like one of the big parts of the curriculum is to teach towards primary care. I mean, you can definitely get introductions to other more specialties, but a huge proportion of the learning is primary care.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I did a DO and allopathic pathways, just the same thing, like just to see what I can get. I copied her, I called her up. Yeah. So the main reason that I really wanted a DO school, and the reason why is because I shadowed an osteopathic doctor, and because the whole time, like, I was shadowing allopathic doctors, and I guess there's this I guess false belief that osteopathic medicine is still underneath the allopaths. Back when I was back in undergraduate, I don't know, that belief may be still going on right now. I don't know how it is with you guys, but that was the belief back then, that osteopaths are, they're just subclass to allopaths. They're just the wannabe real doctors, because they didn't get enough score, they didn't get the high enough scores to get into allopathic school. That's the belief. I know it's out there, but after shadowing so many different allopaths, and then all of a sudden I decided to shadow an osteopath and see what it's like, he just opened up the whole world to me, because allopaths they're very systematic, and that's good, There's a scientific aspect to it, and that's very important. But the osteopathic part of it is that, there's an integration between the mind and the spirit as well as the body. And you got to understand all those aspects, because that's going to affect your patient, And so after shadowing him, he kind of showed me all those different aspects to it, and that, there's no one single answer. You can come up with a diagnosis and treat that patient right, but that's not always the right approach. We are not systematic, logical bodies. That's not the way we're designed. And so I guess after shadowing him, that's kind of convinced me to, okay, I really do want an osteopathic school, because it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
I actually only applied to osteopathic schools. I only applied to 3, and I wanted Toro. That Toro was my #1 because I was actually on my way to vet school. Like, that was the way I wanted to go. That's why I came here. And I actually went to one of these type talks, but we actually had a demonstration of what OMT is, and I fell in love. I fell in love with the faculty, and I'm like, okay, Toro's where I want to go. So, yeah, it totally ruled out the whole allopathic school thing, which was a big stress relief, because it can be so nerve-wracking.
I'll be honest, I definitely did not know what OMT was when I submitted my primaries for osteopathic. I did both. I did allopathic and osteopathic, but I decided to go to Toro because I had a friend and who went to Western. She's a year ahead of me, and by talking to her, there were certain things that she can explain and that I could understand a lot better. And when I asked my boyfriend, who's an allopath, the same question, he'll get the evidence-based perspective of it, and then that's it, So I feel like, it's another perspective that could help you in your profession.
Okay, so who here knows Linda Scott?
Oh,
She's actually
yeah.
our staff advisor.
Yes.
Recently.
So Linda was on my butt about applying to osteopathic schools, right? So first you get this whole lecture about apply to about 30 schools if you're going to apply somewhere, right? And you're like, where am I going to get all the money from, right? So I applied to like 17 MD schools or something, and like 7 osteopathic schools. But I'm going to be honest with you. I did not apply to osteopathic schools till like November. So, which is like pretty late, right? And I just got really lucky that it was still going on. And I was like, okay, Linda's really on me about this. I should really check it out, right? So I'm looking at it, and because from everything that I heard, like osteopathic medicine is kind of like magic. This is what I heard. I'm just being honest. This is what I heard from like my peers, like from people, from my friends that went to MD schools. Like all of a sudden they're just like, okay. I was like, I gotta read this stuff, And as I was reading more stuff about just the history of osteopathic medicine and the different things that they went through, the osteopathic, just the career itself, and just the way the discipline has grown and things like that. And then I just saw like how versatile osteopaths are. I mean, you do all the medical stuff like a doctor would, but then at the same time, you could treat some of the chiropractic stuff, some physical therapy stuff, you know, those techniques. You could do some massage therapy. That's always nice when the patient is relaxed and trusts you, you know? They teach you that stuff, and it's nice to work with your hands. And my dad's a massage and physical therapist, so I love building stuff with my hands, so I was always comfortable with that. And the more and more I read about it, the more and more interested I became. And I have a bunch of MDs in my family, you know? So I was like, I think I'd rather want to go to an osteopathic school. And I got into some MD schools, but I was just like, actually I want to go to osteopathic school. Like I just felt more comfortable. Like I felt like that was good for me. Like I could help treat the patient, I could be close to the patient. And I did a lot of inpatient volunteering where I was volunteering. I would go and talk to the patients and interact with the patients and like play cards with them and talk to them rather than you know, when you volunteer, like file papers. That's what they love for you to do is like file papers. You know? So I didn't want to do that. So I did that, and with talking to those patients, they would say things like, you know, the doctor just comes in, asks me my name every single time, which is I think it's like the law. You have to ask the name and last name and things like that, which is like okay. But they just ask my name and they just say, "Are you okay? Are you feeling better?" And that's it. And they're out of there in like 2 minutes. They're like, "It's not."
Never touch you.
Yeah, they never touch you, nothing. And it was like something that they were missing, you know? And I always enjoyed interacting with them. And doing my research about osteopathic medicine and what it is and going to schools, I realized, you know, this is something that I want to do. And so I decided to go to, you know, tutorial instead of, you know, MD school. And I'm actually very happy, you know, I have no regrets about it. I like telling my story because I feel like it's more of like the natural thing that would, you know, like I feel like I connect with people better because, you know, I don't know, but a lot of people out there think it's magic. And it really isn't. It just puts the body
like
together.
Some of these things
It's nice. It takes into account just the mechanics of the body, the way it naturally works, and you're just trying to put it into that natural state. And in the process, if you need to relieve the pain, you know, write out that medication. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, you can't just kill the bacteria or whatever. You know, write out antibiotics. That's fine.